Hi, I'm Annabelle from Stovax Gazco, and today we're at the amazing Admirals House to meet Greg Penn. We've been working with him for quite a few years now, and he has chosen our products to help heat his amazing space. So let's go and find out a little bit more about this Georgian property and how our stoves fit into his vision. Well, this is a really big space to heat. I mean, why is it important to you to have a wood burner?
So beyond the heat, I can't imagine a home without one. It's such a kind of focal point for life, and I even wrote my dissertation at university on our connection with fire as kind of humans over millennia. It's such a sense of, kind of centerpiece for life. But in terms of the heat, obviously trying to centrally heat the whole house with 30 rooms, when there's just two of us, it's not like we're using the whole house all the time, would cost a fortune and just be ridiculous. So really we use the house like the Georgians would have and heat the spaces that we're using. And obviously this is a kind of living kitchen dining space. It's where we spend pretty much all of our waking hours at the house usually. So being able to get this one room really lovely and cozy, but in a really kind of economical way. Obviously a modern wood burner is, so efficient that it really allows us to live comfortably without really costing any more than it would to heat a normal house. It just means that our whole lives really happen in this space, and the two stoves that we've got in here are the kind of backdrop to our lives. It's it's a really lovely thing, and in the summer when they're not on, I really miss them, and I look forward to winter when I get to light them again.
So you've chosen the studioware in your kitchen. Why did you choose the studioware?
So the dimensions kind of fit. It's quite a big fireplace, and having that really wonderful kind of panoramic screen with just the most amazing view of the fire is kind of gorgeous. And because the kitchen's got an island in, and that's actually a little bit higher than a normal island, I needed something that was a little bit tall so I could still see it when I was kind of doing all my prep. So it sits on a really beautiful bench that kind of raises it up to the ground, and means when I'm kind of making Sunday dinner and peeling potatoes, I've just got this gorgeous view, which is directly opposite where I'm stood. Kind of with all the flames kind of nicking and rolling around, it's just beautiful.
And how does it complement the style and character of the room?
So it's really different. Obviously this is a 220-year-old building, but I really love the kind of juxtaposition between the old and then the very, very kind of sharp and modern. But I also think because the glass is so big and the flames are kind of so prominent in it, really that's what you see. And it's a bit like having a kind of traditional open fire, almost like an old Georgian hob grate. So you can see all the flames dancing and playing, and really that's the kind of visual focus of it. The stove is the backdrop to the star of the show, which are the gorgeous flames, really.
So what did you take into account when you had to get the product installed?
So installing the Air 1 was quite interesting. The chimney had some issues that restricted the size liner that we could get down it. Obviously it's a really tall house, it's 5 stories. So there's quite a lot of considerations around there. But I wanted a stove that was big enough and kind of impressive enough to fit the space. And it's a really lovely kind of wide view of the fire, as I've said, but it uses a 5-inch liner, which was really flexible in that installation, because we couldn't have got a 6-inch liner down the chimney. But I didn't want a small stove that might have looked out of place in that fireplace. And also because it's the sort of convection style stove, because there's no seating next to the stove itself, it's kind of wanting to heat the room, and it does a really amazing job of kind of pushing heat out into the space and really warming the room, and it makes a real difference when it's on.
What are the environmental benefits of opting for an eco-design stove versus an open fire?
Yeah, so the environmental credentials of an open fire are not great. Obviously they're really wasteful in terms of the energy output, but also because they burn at a lower temperature, they don't burn as completely as an enclosed device like a wood burner. So the fact that a wood burner will, it's got a secondary burn, and it kind of burns off all the gases and the toxins. So not just what it lets into the room, like an open fire would, but also what goes up the chimney is so much kind of cleaner and more completely combusted. So not only are you getting the most kind of energy out of the wood, but it's sending far less kind of nasties up the chimney.
How has the wood burner become part of your daily life?
Well, for 6 months of the year, one of them is lit every single day unless we're not here. So it really just becomes the backdrop to all of our activity, everything that we do. There's nothing better than at the end of the day, lighting the wood burner. It's so kind of calming and therapeutic to have it. It's so much more than just a heat source to me. You don't get the same joy from a warm radiator as you do watching the fire. And it just is a kind of focal point for our whole evenings. And whether it's kind of feet up and telly on, or whether we're playing board games, or whether we're just chatting and having a glass of wine, it's like a constant source of companionship almost. And my dear grandmother, who's gone now actually, every single day, 365 days a year, she lit hers because not for the warmth, but the company. And there's something about nurturing it and feeding it and getting the best from it that I find just incredibly charming and satisfying.
What advice would you give to someone that's looking for a stove for their home?
So the advice I'd give when people are looking for a stove is to take their time and really do a bit of research. And if they can, visit a retailer that's got a really kind of good display, actually has some burning, that they can really get a sense for how they feel when they're going. It's one thing to see them kind of unlit, but if you get to play with a few and really get a feel for the ones that you like the look of, and really speak to an expert as well, because there's so much to consider with a wood burner. It is just how they look or whether they fit. There's so many things to consider. So yeah, really do lean on the experts. That will really help. But have some fun with it as well. These really are, potentially the main feature and focal point in your room. And don't be afraid to be a little bit adventurous and maybe mix modern with old or vice versa. And I really think, they will become the real kind of heartbeat of your home.
So yeah, we've been working together for quite a few years now, haven't we? And you keep coming back. There are 3 products in one house.
Yes, three wonderful stoves. And obviously I love the stoves, but the fact that Stovax is Devon based, obviously I'm down here in Devon at Admirals House. And really especially a couple of years ago, I got to actually visit your new factory and to meet the guys at Stovax who have designed it and all the kind of technical expertise that goes into it, and then the kind of sense of craftsmanship and the pride that goes into the work that you guys do over there. It was just really, really heartwarming. So yeah, to have real kind of British craftsmanship and engineering in the house with products that work so beautifully feels really special.